He was misdiagnosed for quite a few years, and it wasn't until a neurologist over in Milwaukee actually called me at work and said, "You need to get your son in hospital now." It was a healthy pregnancy, and I was one of these women that loved being pregnant. We were informed that the left ventricle of the brain had been dilated. They told us that if it continues to grow throughout the rest of the pregnancy, then there's going to be cause for concern. But if it stays the size it is now, then there's nothing to worry about. He didn't come out crying or screaming, which is what every mother wants to hear. So I was really concerned at that point, and I was reassured everything's fine, and they put Beckham on my chest, and that was such a magical moment for me. It really was the best day of my life. Doctors came in and basically told me that Beckham has agenesis of the corpus callosum, ACC for short, which is the bridge that connects the left side of the brain with the right. Basically, his brain didn't develop, and we were told it's very unlikely that he'll walk, it's very unlikely that he'll talk, that he'll be 100% dependent on us for the rest of our lives.
Is this really happening? What's going on? It's hard to even put it into words, but it was, you knew everything was going to be different from that moment on.
He was diagnosed with infantile spasms, which escalated to grand mal seizures, and then he was diagnosed with epilepsy. And then a few months after that, he was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. My job plummeted in 2020 because I can't work hands-on doing massages and facials.
You know, what I mainly do as a musician is I tend to play weddings and corporate events, so that all got shut down. We're self-employed, you know, and we don't have a pension, you know, we don't have some big retirement account. How do we support even ourselves so that we can look after Beckham?
When he was about three years old, he started curving into like a letter C, and it was compromising his lungs and his heart. So eventually we had to have surgery done where they cut into his back and they put a metal rod into his back to straighten him up.
Being told that the spine is going to be fused, it's going to basically become bone that doesn't move anymore. You know, it's not flexible. That was really scary to us.
We had a lot of years where he would seize every single day.
For many years, they were not controlled. There was a day he woke up, wasn't long until he was having a seizure like every 4 minutes, and this went on for
12 to 14 hours.
12 to 14 hours. It was all day. It was insane. We went from taking him to Condell and Libertyville, and they could not get things to stop, and then he was brought over to Rush. He's seizing like every 4 minutes, and they're lasting about 20 seconds. And when you see your child have a seizure with Beckham, he's screaming out.
Yeah, it's difficult.
It's like he's horrified.
The amount of times that he has been in hospital and the surgeries that he's had done and the pain that he's gone through, it's like he wants to say, "Mummy, Daddy, it's okay." We knew there was something seriously wrong, and He was really cold. They had to, at the hospital, wrap him in some kind of thermal blanket to warm up his inner organs because they couldn't get a temperature from him because he was that cold. Also, we discovered that he aspirates, which leads to pneumonia. So he had double pneumonia of the lungs and was in the PICU for 3 weeks. That was one of the most horrifying times of our lives with Beckham because we came this close to losing him.
And that happened a couple of times that year, to the point where they were talking to us about, did we want to do a tracheotomy? Did we want to do a G-tube, a feeding tube?
Which we love feeding Beckham because that's our bonding time with him. We did everything we could to not go down that road.
Because Nikki's family is in England, and my family, my parents have passed away, one of my sisters passed away. So it's really down to my sister Roxanne helping us with her husband Scott. That's about it.
We balance each other that way.
Yeah, we're a
For the
good
most
team.
part.
We have our things that we do, and sometimes they overlap, but we know what our job is as far as the different things that need to get done, and we've got a routine. We're trying to think ahead.
Yeah.
And what we're worried about the most is what happens to Beckham when we can't look after him anymore, when we're physically unable to.
It's getting to the point now where I'm personally ready to ask for some help. Whatever we walk away from is just a gift. It's amazing. And it will help towards his future, his continued therapy, some in-house help. Down the line, we're going to need a new wheelchair accessible van. We're running ours into the ground, and they're very expensive.
The typical van, if you wanted to get something relatively new, they're between 40 and 50 grand.
Yeah.
They're really expensive, unfortunately, and you need one. You have to have one if you want to get out of your house, and that's going to be coming down the line. Fixing up our bathroom where he gets showered. Right now it's just a normal shower, and what we're wanting to do is renovate it a little bit to open up the shower area and make it more of a wet room so that water can go anywhere, it can drain, and we can get a shower chair in there without having to deal with what we're dealing with, which is, a lip and getting this wheelchair over that.
It's a two-man job. We're in there together trying to get the wheelchair over the lip and maneuvering the wheelchair round inside the shower.
It's not meant for our situation at all. So that's something that we're hoping to get some financial help for us to make it easier to keep him clean. Part of us are kind of grateful that he doesn't really understand the magnitude of what he's dealing with. What happens when we're no longer here? What happens when we're no longer able to look after our child? It's the scariest thing in the world. The seizures, all these medical things, that's very scary, but the thought of when we're not here anymore, that's the kind of thing that keeps us awake at night.
Yeah.